Am I the antagonist for confronting my daughter? My daughter is 17 and very insecure. Because she's insecure, she's very demanding of others when it comes to affection and attention, whether it's from her close friends, family, her boyfriend, etc. I just got done my last shift of work for quite a while, and my youngest daughter, 7, came up to me and told me that my oldest had been rude to her and my son, 12, all day. She wouldn't explain any further, so I just asked my son what was going on. Apparently my oldest came into the playroom while they were in the middle of playing toys and told them that she wanted a hug from them. They told her they didn't want to because they were in the middle of playing, and she sat in the doorway fake crying and saying, "I wish my family didn't hate me so much." My son also told me that when he told her he didn't hate her, she called him a liar and said if they really cared about her they would give her a hug. Apparently my son felt bad, so he gave her a hug, but my youngest still wouldn't do it, so she stayed in the doorway and said, "Come hug me, or else you'll be a bad person." It got to the point where after the events were being recounted, my youngest daughter cried and said, "I don't wanna be a bad person, I love her." I came down the stairs because she sleeps in the basement, and I asked her why she bullied the other two all day. She said they wouldn't listen to me. I said, "Bullshit. They didn't hug you so because you felt entitled to, that you called them names and made them feel bad when they said no." She said, "Well, I'm their sister and I think they should be able to take 3 seconds out of their day to hug me and then go back to doing whatever they're doing." I said she was being a selfish bully and that I was glad I was home now so that I didn't have to worry about her bullying my kids anymore. I found out that she does this often and even shuts off their TV if they don't tell her they love her when she says she loves them, just so that they pay attention and say what she wants to hear. Here's where I think I'm the R. When I heard that, I yelled down, "If it turns out, when they get older, that they really don't love you and resent you for picking on them, I wouldn't blame them," and slammed the door. She came up and had a full-blown meltdown, telling me that I was a horrible mother and that, because I said that, I must love the other two more than her. AITA? Info: has your daughter been screened for a mental illness, like borderline personality disorder? Symptoms include thinking that everyone hates you, needing attention right this second, taking a soft no/request to wait as extreme rejection, putting people on pedestals and becoming enraged when they don't live up to expectations, extreme mood swings. Yes, she was diagnosed when she was 16. In that case, what you said to her was probably really damaging. What has her therapist said? If she was diagnosed a year ago, then why did you yell those things at her instead of addressing this as a symptom of her mental health that may be really hard for her to control? AITA. I just read that she's been diagnosed with BPD since she was 16. AITA. She's not insecure, she has a mental illness. You are the parent. Bruh. Is she going to therapy currently, or is that not necessary because she's just insecure? You should look into DBT. Dialectical behavioral therapy was specifically designed for BPD, though it's now being used to treat a wider range of mood disorders. She has abnormal coping habits, is manipulative, and needs to unlearn those habits and learn ones that do not hurt the people around her. You might want a little help too. You can help your kids create boundaries without literally contributing to the cause. NTA. And while there's a chance this could be more of an "oh assholes here" thing, it is never and will never be safe for anyone to teach children that they have to hug, touch, or adore people on demand. That's the kind of thing that could lead children to be vulnerable to predators. Your 17-year-old is old enough to understand that. Take some time to explain the risks of children, or hell, anyone, being forced to show affection to someone, and then talk to her about her issues. Not everyone shows love by hugging, even children. She can't assume her family doesn't love her just because they don't act on command. She needs some self-love, for sure, but younger siblings aren't going to be able to harvest that. I just read that she's been diagnosed with BPD since she was 16. AITA. She's not insecure, she has a mental illness. You are the parent. Bruh. Is she going to therapy currently, or is that not necessary because she's just insecure? You should look into DBT. Dialectical behavioral therapy was specifically designed for BPD, though it's now being used to treat a wider range of mood disorders. She has abnormal coping habits, is manipulative, and needs to unlearn those habits and learn ones that do not hurt the people around her. You might want a little help too. You can help your kids create boundaries without literally contributing to the cause. Lol, of course she sucks. She has BPD LMAO, that's like the whole disorder. In fact, a lot of the self-care with BPD, when it comes to friends and family members of it, is setting those boundaries and not letting the person with BPD run unchecked. But she and Op aren't friends. They are not both kids. They are not both adults. Op isn't this kid's uncle or aunt who is alarmed by this behavior once in a while when they come to visit. Op is a parent of someone still underage who seems to be undercutting her issues, even though they are actively aware of them. Likely, since BPD normally stems from trauma, Op had a direct hand in creating whatever it is this kid's suffering from, since behavior doesn't just come out of nowhere. I think it's idiotic that people think issues are created in a vacuum. I didn't put Esh because the situation is not even remotely equivalent due to the power imbalance. You know what the main driving point of a person with BPD is? A fear of abandonment. You know what telling your child your siblings love, and by proxy, your love is conditional, creates? A fear of abandonment. And like I said, that's not the first time Op has said things like that to her. If Op said it in a fit of emotion, then they've said it before. And since the kid was already diagnosed, Op knows that that's not helpful, and said it anyway. Am I the antagonist for leaving significant facial scarring uncovered on a plane and being confrontational when a father asked me to cover it because it was scaring his son? I sustained very bad injuries to my face this month. I'm in the stage of healing when the scar tissue has formed, but it's still very tender new skin. I'm going to have very obvious facial scarring for the rest of my life. The injury starts about an inch above my hairline, goes down over my brow, so that on part, hair will not grow. It continues down my cheek, where it is deepest. I'll always probably have an indentation in the fullest part of my cheek. Then it continues to my jawline. In some ways it's okay. I'm happy it's just cosmetic damage. My friends are super reassuring, telling me how badass and sick it's gonna look. They say I'm still as hot as ever, now a little more sexy and mysterious lol. But in some ways it really sucks. I know that I'm always gonna be seen first as the girl with the scar, and it feels especially bad when people look at me differently. This week, I had to fly home for a family thing. It was a plan I'd made long before my injury. I wasn't really looking forward to the pity or people making a big deal of it. I'd rather it not be acknowledged. I'd also met with my dermatologist who said that I was at the stage of scar tissue formation, that I no longer should be dressing the wounds. The skin was healing, and instead I needed to be applying topical cream and Vaseline to keep the side clean and moist. It also looks a bit ugly. The building scar tissue is very red and tender, and with the Vaseline over it, looks slick and shiny. So I get on this flight, I have the window seat, and I put on my headphones and drift off to sleep when the plane is still boarding. I wake up to this kid, maybe 4 years old, sat next to me, throwing a tantrum. I didn't catch the first part of it, and I honestly couldn't understand what he was yelling about. His father said to me, "Can you cover that injury?" I said that my dermatologist recommends I don't, so no, I don't think I will. He started snapping at me saying there is no need to be so rude. That injury is graphic, and it's scaring my little one. I said this is my face. The only damn face I've got. It sucks being told I'm so ugly I can't show my goddamn face in public. He started to backtrack saying just until it's healed, and I said it'll always be with me. Maybe teach some fucking compassion and respect instead of telling a girl half your damn age what you think about her face. That's rude. He actually got up after that, and I think went to a stewardess about a seat change because a young couple came to sit next to me on a few minutes instead. I've gotta admit I felt so low that I put on my sunglasses and had a quiet cry for a few minutes. AITA for not covering my healing scar and for being confrontational about it. NTA. Part of parenting is teaching kids how to react to people that look different from them, be it a different ethnicity, a disability, face tattoos and neon hair, or an injury. The parent should views it as a positive teaching moment that sometimes people look different, rather than allowing his kid to fall into his fear of a regular person. NTA, I had several facial tumors when I was born. When I was about 4 they were removed because they kept growing and refused to shrink. The surgeons did an excellent job, but there's some facial scarring. Here's the thing, though, kids ask questions about what they don't know, especially when the subject confuses or frightens them. It's pretty much all their brains know how to do at that age. Fear translates into questions if you give them a hot minute. The dad had a prime opportunity to explain that not everyone has similar life experiences and that everyone won't look the same. Give his kid a nice start on accepting his fellows in humanity. Instead he took the ugly way out. I found that the swift and blunt statement "oh fact you gave" is one that needs to be heard, especially by the adults raising kids. I've had commentary both before and after surgery. That bad habit of insisting we're out of sight doesn't need to be encouraged. I'm going to have to say AITA, since I haven't seen any opposite opinion on this post yet. Depending on how young the child is, they were obviously uncomfortable. The kid has no choice but to sit beside you. It's not like they could easily change seats. The only thing that could have been done is the father changing seats so the kid isn't right beside you, which would have prevented this whole situation. Anyways, the child is young and was upset, and children don't usually see graphic things. Movies are rated R because they can be traumatizing for younger audiences. You even said yourself that at that stage the scar wasn't pleasing, and it was quite red with the scar tissue just forming. The kid, who probably hasn't seen anything like that before, didn't understand and was upset. The father asked kindly, "It sounds for you to possibly cover it." "Yes, it is your face and you shouldn't be ashamed of it, and your doctor said not to cover it, but you could raise a sweater or shirt over it during the flight. Or just tell him that your doctor said you can't and suggest him to move seats." Instead you got angry, yelled and cursed at him in front of the kid that's still there, and then started talking about your age. Like that had anything to do with it? Are you immune to an older man talking to you because you're young? Anyways, the situation could have been handled much better, but it sounds like you escalated it to something much worse than it could have been. I'm gonna have to say the father should have just switched seats with the kid or something to the kid, didn't have sit beside you, or better yet, taught the kid that just because you have a scar doesn't mean you are bad or any less of a person than anyone else. But I think the way you blew up on the guy and his child was kind of a Charlie. I understand why you did though. I assume you are under a lot of stress and probably pretty insecure about the scar, but you shouldn't be. Just remember that having a scar doesn't make you anything less than you were before the scar. Dear God, no, you're absolutely NTA. People that are that heartless shouldn't be allowed in public. JFC. I'm so sorry that happened to you. It does sound like it looks pretty badass. For the record, rock what you got, girl.